All right. So today's lesson is theory lesson, right? I know all of you all don't like theory. Theory is very boring, right? I hope all of you all got the tunes. Okay. Theory is a very boring lesson, right? All the first lessons, first 2, 3 lessons, all of them are just theory, right? According to your syllabus, you usually have a lot of theory lessons for the first few lessons, even in grade 10 and 11, right? So in the first lesson, now my whole idea is, right, we are doing 2 classes per week, no? 2 classes per week, right? And we are doing 3-hour classes, right? We would most likely, there are totally in grade 10, you have 9 units, and in grade 11, you have 6 units, I guess, right? Or it's the other way, okay? So you have totally 15 lessons. Totally, you have 15 lessons, right? In these 15 lessons, right, we are going to cover all these 15 lessons, inshallah, within 2 months. 2 months, right? Difficult, I know, right? You might not understand certain lessons, you might not feel confident enough in certain lessons, right? But still, our goal is to finish these 15 lessons in 2 months. Then the balance 2 months, right? The balance 2 months, we will have around we'll have around 16 classes, right? We'll have, because we have 8 classes per week. So for 2 months, we have nearly 16 classes, 16 or 15 classes we will have, right? So for this amount of time, we are going to practice papers. We are going to practice what? Papers, right? So first we are going to cover the theory, right? We'll be doing questions, but not very heavy focus on the questions, right? We'll try to cover the theory as much as possible, and then we will get into the papers, right? Okay. So this is the goal and the idea of the class, right? I hope you all started working and started doing papers and stuff, at least in the other subjects, right? Because obviously paper classes would have started by now. Paper classes would have started by end of second term and like beginning of second term itself. Paper classes they will start, no? Right. So as for your first lesson, right, in grade 10, the lesson goes as what? Information and communication technology. The first lesson is just about IT itself, right? They are talking about what is there in IT, what are the benefits, what are the disadvantages, what are the functionalities of ICT, right? Okay. So you don't have to really make much notes, because I'm not going to give you notes. I'm going to give you more questions, right? So when I tell you something, you write down a question and you take your time and you answer the question, right? Okay. So the first part of the lesson talks about information and data. What? Information and data. Now, what do you think information is? Anybody? You all can text me. If you don't know, if you don't understand, it's okay. But try your maximum to text me and talk to me, right? Think of this like a live session. Don't, obviously 3 hours class is long. You all haven't gone for 3 hour classes, right? And I'm also continuously talking. You will feel sleepy. That is normal, right? Very normal. You will feel sleepy, right? So what I want you to do is, like how you all are very excited to text your girlfriends and boyfriends, right? Same way, just once in a while at least text, like drop a text to me. Say hi, hello sir, I understood this sir, right? Be a little bit interested in the lesson. If not, you will completely fall asleep, right? Okay. So now, data means, data means raw facts that have no meaning, right? Raw facts that have no meaning. Example, let's take marks. Let's say your last term marks was 78, 92, and 57, 44. Right. So you got 92 for English, 78 for ICT, and 57 for maths, and 44 for first language. Right? Let's assume. Okay. Now, with this information, right, with this data, right, this is not information, this data, right? With this data, can you do anything? Can you select, are you the first of the student? I mean, are you the class first, or can you find your average, or do you know where you are, or what these marks mean? No, right? They are just random marks of random subjects. They do not have a specific meaning, or you can't derive certain conclusions out of it, right? All right, give me a minute, guys. Give me a minute. Let me switch the board. I hope the board is more clear now, right? Less reflection and more clear, right? Okay, right. So as I was telling, right, data and information, right? Data and information, right? Now, What was data again? Data was raw facts, right? Let's say you have a bunch of images. Right? Let's say you have a bunch of images. Right? You have a picture of a car and a picture of a house, right? These are all random images, right? These are all random images. Can you derive anything out of it? Can you tell, okay, because of this, it's like this. Because of this image, this is this. No, right? You don't have any sort of, you can't come to any sort of conclusion because of these images. Right? But information is not like that. Information is like this. Imagine your report, your school report. In that, what will be there? All your marks will be there. All your previous semester marks are there. Your rank is there. Your in the previous semester you were first rank, right? And then in the second semester you became the third rank. So there is a drop, right? Your studies has reduced. Again in the third semester you can become the first rank, right? First in the class, right? And how did you get to these ranks? How did you come to rank? Using the marks, no? You remember earlier I told there was marks 78, 92, something like that, right? 44 and 50 something, right? 56 something, right? So with these marks only you came to a conclusion that you're the first in the class, right? Just because you got 92 doesn't mean that you can't be the third, right? Someone else would have got what? 80, 80, 92, 90. Obviously this boy is going to become the first. Why? Because you have obviously you have 1 mark higher, right? If this boy's marks is 91, right? You have one subject that has very high marks, 92 marks, right? That subject is the highest, right? Nobody has got 92, but still you won't become first of the class. Why? Because this boy's average is higher than yours. The same way only A levels you have something called Z score. Okay. Your O levels, right? Yeah. So for O levels, you have rankings, right? You have first rank, second. So obviously the ranks come because of what? Because of this, right? Marks. Your net marks, your total marks should be greater than all the total marks of the other fellows. That way you know, okay, obviously you are higher than him. He is higher than you, right? Now, how did you come to the comparison? Because of information. With data, can you compare? Can you compare data and tell? No. You can't compare data and come to a conclusion. But with information, you can come to a conclusion. You can come to a certain point where saying, okay, this means this. Okay, this means you're the first in the class, right? So that is information and data, right? Okay, I want y'all to write 3 datas in your life, right? Whatever it can be, whatever it can be, your marks. It can be the amount of time you take to travel from one place to another place. It can be the amount of money you spend, right? Random, right? Any 3 datas, right? Can be pictures, numbers, phone numbers, right? Even phone numbers are just data, no? Do they have any meaning? Names, do they have any meaning, right? But a Google form, there is also still data, right? But getting a report from a Google form, right? Let's say you have put multiple choice in the Google form, right? Okay, let's say you're going for an event. In the event, they are saying, okay, you have 3 types of food: vegetable, chicken, and beef. So most of the people will pick chicken and beef. Very rarely people will pick vegetables, right? So you can take a report based off this, right? You can say, okay, you can draw a small graph like this, and you can say, okay, 50% of the people pick chicken, another 25 pick, or maybe 40 pick beef, and around 10% with vegetables, right? So you can draw a graph like this, right? Or you can get a small information output, right? So this is information, but this is data. Okay. So I want you to write any three data, anything, can be anything, right? It can be your phone number, it can be your name, it can be your birth of date, and whatever it is. I want you to write three data that belongs to you, your personal life, and three informations about yourself. And you can WhatsApp it to me. I'll give you 5 minutes. Huh? I want you to write three data about yourself and three informations about yourself. Okay, students, the time is almost up. You have 1 more minute. You can write whatever you want, right? You can write, what do you call it? Maybe data about yourself. You can write whatever you want. Okay. Okay. So your time is up, right? So if you can send it to me, if not, it's all right. If you did you understand about information and data? Do you understand what information data is? Do you understand what information and data is, students? If you did not understand, drop me a text. I'll explain again. Right? It's all right if you did not understand, right? So because obviously not everyone can understand everything at one spot, one shot itself, right? So if you did not understand, tell me. I'll repeat again, right? It's completely fine, right? If you did not understand, just drop me a text, drop me a personal message, or drop me a text through Zoom personally, and nobody will know that you don't know, right? It's better to not know now rather than not knowing the exam. You can't go to the exam and say I don't know. If you say I don't know now, I'll explain you again. But if you say I don't know in the exam, what will happen? You will write the exam and come. You will leave the marks, right? So tell me if you did not understand. Let me know. Right. Okay. So let's move on to the next part. Okay. So that is right. I'll give you another example for what do you call that? Information and data. Okay. Analyzing an NIC number. So if you take an NIC number, right? Example, let's say 2000, and then you have 01521011. Right? You should have 10 digits, no? Like something like this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now what happens is you when you just look at this, it looks like numbers. Right? When you just look at it, it just looks like random numbers. Okay. But if you want to know what they actually mean, right? What you can do, you can take the first four digits. First four digits will give you what? Birth year. First four digits will give you what? Birth year. Then this digit, right? It will give you the male or female, the gender. So from 0 to 4 is male, and from 5 to 9 is female, right? So this is how you identify like what is the information and what is data. When you look at the full thing, it's just data, just a random number. You take phone number also 07577 18140, and this is just a phone number. But if you take the first and let's give it some more details, right? If you just give it like this, it's just a phone number. But if you take this one, you can see the country, right? What country is it from? And if you take this one, you know what SIM it is, right? 75 means Airtel. 77 means what? Dialogue. 77. What are the numbers that dialogue has? 77, 74, 76. All these three belong to dialogue. 75 is Airtel. Then for Hutch you have 78 and 72. Mobitel 71 or 70. Right? So using this you can derive certain information. Right? So the first one will give you the country code, what country it belongs to. Right? But if you just look at the whole thing, just the phone number, random phone number, you don't even know what it is, where it's from, right? But if you look into it deeper, you will identify, okay, this belongs this, right? So that's how you identify data and information. Information is you can derive something out of it, right? You can derive something out of it. But data is not like that. Data is just raw facts. Okay. Just the raw, if you just take a number, then that is just data. But from that data, you can do what? You can find the country, you can find the what do you call it? The SIM. You can, if you have the NIC number, you can find the gender, you can find the birth year, right? There are multiple things you can find using the data. Okay. Now let's move on to the next topic. Next topic is information system. Okay. This is very important, right? Information system means, right? Information system means, remember, okay? Information system consists of three main components. What? Consists of three main components. What are the three main components? You have an input point. You have to input something. Then what happens after that? The input data gets processed. Input what? Data gets processed. And this processing and whatever is processed gets stored. And it outputs what? Outputs information. Remember, the earlier example we had, right? What was the example we had? We had marks. Right? We had marks. From the marks, what did we derive? We derived the rank. How did we get to the rank? Did we just directly go to the rank? No, right? From the marks, we got the average. And then from the average only, we came to the rank. So, this average, this process, this whole thing is the process. Right? This is an example for an information system. Right? Information system always consists of an input, process, and an output. Right? You need to definitely input some data, and that data will get processed and it will output information. Right? This is a two-way arrow. Okay? Storage, data, process, and both. Okay? Did you guys understand what's happening here? Do you guys have any doubts? You guys are very silent from the beginning. Everyone is shy at the top. Right? Draw this diagram down on the textbook. Oh, sorry, notebook. Diagram is important. Draw the diagram down on the. Okay, at least once you are done, no doubts. Very good. Once you are done, let me know. Let me know if you're done. Right? Put a message called done. And I know that you're done with the work.
Okay, sir, done.
Okay, done. Good. Now, look at this. Okay. Let's look into one example of an information system. Have you guys used the ATM? Obviously, you guys must have used the ATM at some point, no? To withdraw or deposit cash, right? You would have definitely used that ATM. Or leave ATM. No, now these days we don't even go to the banks much. No? You use the bank app, right? Let's say you have the bank app, right? You have the bank app. What will you do? Once you go inside itself, you have to first check, right? You have to first check. What are you going to check? You have to enter your username and password. So these are the inputs. You have to enter your username and password, right? How are you going to do that? You have to enter the data. This is just raw data, right? This is your input. Then what will the bank app do? It will say, wait, verifying your data, and it will start loading like this, right? There'll be a small circle and you start loading, right? Then after that, what happens? Okay, now your data is loaded, it's verified. Meaning you are the actual person who owns the account because your username and password is correct. Then what will happen? Okay, it will let you inside the bank app. It will let you inside the bank app. And inside the bank app, what? You will have a lot of different information like your bank balance. I'll just put as BV for bank balance, right? And you will have your transaction history, right? So these are all information that you get because you enter the correct input and output, right? Because you enter the correct inputs. If you enter your mother's input and mother's password, what will happen? You will see your mother's bank balance and mother's transaction history, right? If you enter your friend's one, let's say your friend is named Arsha, then what happens? And you enter his password. Hello, bank 123, right? This is his password. Then what will happen? You will see all his details, right? You will see all his details, right? So this is an example for uh, an information system, right? You have input some data, it gets processed, and you get an output, right? There are more examples, right, in the notes I have given you, right? So go through them and just get an idea. Right? Remember, this chapter is full of theories, right? So you can't really do much calculations, but you can do questions. Therefore, I'm going to give you a question, right? I want you to write an input-output process system. Write an input-output process system, right? It can be anything, huh? It can be anything, right? Imagine you have a calculator and you are going to calculate your average marks, or whatever it is, right? Then what will you do? You will input your marks, right? And it will calculate it, right? Calculate. So calculating is the process, and you will get an output, what? Your average, right? So I want you to write down anything that you know that has an input-output process. You can put it as tea also. For tea, to make plain tea or milk tea or whatever the tea or coffee, what are the inputs you need? What are the inputs you need to make tea? You need tea powder, you need milk, you need hot water, right? What is the process? You first boil water, right? Then you mix the tea powder and milk together. You first make You put the tea powder inside, right? And then you mix the milk and sugar. And what is the output? Tea, right? So like that, I want you to write an input, process, output. So it can be anything. Huh? It can be from your life. It can be anything. I want you to write and send me the work. I want you to send me the what do you call it? Answer through WhatsApp. You have to send it. Huh? I'll give you 3 minutes. Fine.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Your mic is muted.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for informing me. Right. Okay. So now, what was I saying? Yeah, I was saying, right? It would have been so weird. I was just speaking, you will see my mouth move, and you didn't know that I was there. Okay. Hello. Okay. Right. Now, what I wanted to tell you was, right? Let's say you tell stories to your friends. Right? You tell some story to your friend, right? And your friend tells another story, right? There'll be problems like that, no? Right? Whose story is more better or more accurate? How do you find it? Or which story is better quality? Right? Which story can you trust? Right? You have to look into five main things when you look and find good information. Right? With good information, then you have to look at these five things. Right? One is relevancy. Right? Relevancy means, right, the information relevant should be given. Example, right? Let's say you're talking about your O-level maths, O-level maths paper, right? You're talking about 2023 O-level maths pass paper. O-level maths pass paper. And your friend, he comes and he tells, no, that's not the correct answer. I got the answer for that question was, what do you call it? You all have in O-level maths, physics or he, you had, he got the answer, force equals pressure over area. He applied this equation to get an answer. Now what happens? Is this relevant to this? Is it relevant to what you are talking to? Is force equals pressure over area relevant to, pressure equals force over area? Is it relevant to what you are talking? No, right? This is true. This information is correct, right? Pressure is actually equal to force over area, right? Pressure is actually equal to force over area. That's in science, physics, right? But here, while you're talking about Maths 2023 O-level past paper, he is coming and talking about science. So then there is no relevancy. There is no relevancy. You can't relate to that, right? Not connected. Relevancy means connection. Is it relevant or is it connected to what you're talking right now? Right? Is it connected to what you're talking about right now? Right? That's it. When you ask, what do you call that, stupid questions in class, your teacher will say, that's not relevant here. Don't ask about that here. Right? Relevant. That same word only here is also used. Relevancy. It's not related to this. It's not in this topic. So not relevant. right? That if your information, the information you give is relevant to the current topic, or the data you give is relevant to the information you need, right? For example, if you're finding the marks of your, let's say you're finding the rank of your second term, grade 10, and you give your first term grade 11 marks, 11 marks, will you get a correct information? Is it relevant? No, right? You won't get a correct information, right? You're comparing your grade 11 first term marks with all the students grade 10 second term marks. That's not relevant at all, right? There is no connection between those two, right? So this is relevancy, right? Your data or your information should be relevant to the topic that you're talking about, right? That is the first good quality of information. The more relevant it gets, the more what do you call it? Correct, or the more good output you will get, good information you will get. Okay. Now next part, completeness. Now let's say you have 9 subjects. Now. You have 9 subjects, and you want to check your rank in the class. If you want to check your rank with 8 marks, meaning 8 subject marks. If you have marks for marks of 8 subjects, can you get your rank? You can't, no? You can't get your rank with just 8 subject marks. Why? You need all 9 to find an average. Using 9 only you can find the average, no? So if you have the average only, you can compare your average and your friend's average and his friend's average and all the class student average to get your rank, right? So the completeness of data that you give should be there to get good quality information, or the completeness of information should be there to get a good output, right? That is the second good quality or characteristic of good information, right? Next one, your data should be accurate, right? What does that mean? Or your information should be accurate when you're giving it into a system to get an output, right? Look at this. If you get 92, 91, 47, and 76, right? These are the marks you got for your exams. And you give 75, 48, 96, 94. Do you think you will get a correct output? Do you think you will get a correct output? No, right? Why won't you get a correct output? Because but your data is not accurate. This is not, this is the correct one. This is the one you have given. So this is not correct. Therefore, will you get your rank? Will your rank be correct? There might be students who scored more than you but still got less rank. Why did they get less rank? Because you have entered inaccurate data. The data you entered is not correct, right? Your total might be, actually your total might be 4 subjects, no? Around 320 something, right? And your rank is 6. The fifth place rank, in the fifth place, he has 326. Right? Because you have entered inaccurate data, you have entered mono. For 92, you have put 96. For 47, you have put 48. And for 75, you have entered 78. Right? You have definitely increased your marks. What will happen to your rank? Your rank will become the 5th. And you will maybe have around 330 marks. This fellow will go to the 6th. So you won't get correct information outside because why? You have entered inaccurate data. Right. The next one is timeliness. Timeliness is something like relevancy, but it's a little bit different. It's like we're talking about the timeline. Let's say Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. Does it matter anymore? Does it matter that Neil Armstrong landed on the moon? No, right? But when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, it was very important and a very big milestone to humanity. No? It was a very big milestone for humanity. Imagine you passed your scholarship exam, Shishatta. It's a very big milestone, no? You would have been so happy, right? Your parents would have been so happy. They would have been so proud of you, right? But does it matter? Now, does anybody come and ask, did you pass scholarship? No. They're asking, are you doing O-levels? Okay, nice. What are you getting? What are you expecting for O-levels? Right? After you finish O-levels, what will they ask? What is your O-level results? What are you doing for A-levels? After you finish A-levels, will they ask you O-level results? Will they ask you Shishatta results? No. They'll ask, what's your A-level results? Right? Once something finishes, right? Once you finish O-levels and you go to A-levels and you finish A-levels and you get your A-level results, do you think everyone will ask for your A-level results or they'll ask for your O-level results? They'll ask for your A-level results. It's normal, no? Everyone is going to ask for your A-level results. O-level gets ignored. O-level goes down in priority. It goes down in timeline. Right? It will reduce in importance because why? It's not relevant to you anymore. Because you got 3 A's in A levels, your 5A or 2A in O level is nothing. You got 3A in A level. Nobody's going to ask, now you got 3A in A levels and only 2A in O level, 2A, 2B in O levels. Who's going to ask you like that? You got 3A in A levels, mashallah, they'll give you a hug, they'll congratulate you. They'll be like, okay, what university are you going to go to? If you did maths or something, you will go to engineering. If you did bio, you will go to medicine. If you did commerce, you will go to management, right? If you do arts, you can go into law and what do you call that? Stuff like that, right? So basically, your timeliness, your relevancy, I mean, like your specific time that you get that information or that data is not important to you anymore. Right? It's not important to you. It's not important to anyone. It just becomes useless, right? So that is the definition of timeliness. And if your timeliness is more, meaning if you have like very recent events, will be very good to give you good information, right? So let's say you got 50 marks in Shishatta, but 9 A's in O levels. They'll say what? Will they tell you're not studying student, or will they say you're a studying student? They will definitely say you're a studying student, even though you got only 50 marks in Shishatta, only 50 marks in scholarship. But now you have got what? 9 A's. That means they say what? Okay. Even though he was not studying that time, now he is a studying student. So you are deriving information from the data that you got 9 A's. And the 9A was a data that came recently. And because of that, you got, what do you call it? You got the name studying student. Right? Or an educated boy. Right? If not, you won't get that. And same goes for A levels. Right? Let's say you got only 1A and 3B, 4C for O levels. But in A levels, you get 3A or you get 2AB. What will they say? Mashallah, he got good results. He's a studying student. He studied well. Oh, he's a hard working student. He has worked very hard for these results. Right? That is the timeline. Right? As time goes, your what do you call it? The information's value changes. Right? As time goes, information's value changes because of new information and new data getting added into the system. Right? And then the next one is cost effectiveness. The cost of obtaining information should not exceed its benefit. This is a very good definition, right? Let's say, right? Let's say you, right? Let's say you're going to do A levels. Okay? You're going to do A levels. Right? But why are you doing A levels? To go to university, right? You're going you're going to do A levels to go to university. But the foundation course will also go to university. You know? After O levels, you have two options: either A levels, right? After O levels, you have two options. Either you can go for A levels or you can go foundation. Now A levels is what very cheap. Why? It's only like what 10,000 rupees per month, or less than 10,000, right? It will cost you like 6,000 to 7,000 rupees for classes, and then with transport and everything, it will be around 10,000, right? But foundation will cost you how much? Maybe around 200,000 at once or 300,000 at once, right? Depending on the degree. Right? Now, if you get 3 A's, good, you can go to university, you can study for free. But if you spend so much to the point where this 200K becomes small, which do you think is better? Going to foundation or going to A levels? Let's say you do 5 classes, you do individual classes, you do group classes, you do two individual, you do like for individual classes it's expensive. Right? So you spend a lot for individual classes, but you get bad results. Which is better, going for a foundation or going to do A levels? Going to do a foundation. Huh? So just because this, right? Just because you had spent so much to get certain information, right? The point of that information becomes useless because you have spent so much, right? So that's the whole idea of cost effectiveness. You have to try to find information in a cost effective way. The more you spend to get information, the more you're going to lose later, right? So you have to try to make sure that you get information in a very affordable way. Right? Okay. Right. With that, we will take a small 10-minute prayer break. Right. Now it is exactly 7:20. Sorry, 7:10. Right. Be back by 7:20. Right. Have your tea, wash your face, and refresh yourself. Take time. 15 minutes break. Come back by 7:20. You all are ready? Okay. If you all are ready, just give me a thumbs up, please. Okay. Right. Okay. So before we continue the lesson, right? I want to tell you all something, right? You guys have to learn to study smart. Okay? You guys have to learn to study smart, right? Now it's the ages of AI. Right? Obviously, everybody has AI and everybody uses AI, right? But how to use AI to study? How to use AI to study? Right? So I was just explaining, right? We have to learn to use AI to study. Okay, there is an AI by Google, by Google called Notebook LM. What? Notebook LM. Right? So this guy, what he does is he basically can make flashcards, right? Flashcards, and he can make quiz questions, quiz, and you can learn from him. You can ask questions from him, right? You can make presentations from him, right? So what I want you to do is, I want you all, right, whoever is there in the meeting or whoever is watching the recording, right, I want you all to drop me a text to WhatsApp 075 77 18140. Right? Drop me your Gmail ID. Okay? Drop it to me now soon. Then I have already created a notebook LM, right? A notebook, what do you call it? A notebook basically, in which you have this chapter's notes, right? And I have made specific flashcards, right? And also I have made what? Quiz questions, right? I have made quiz questions, right? So as soon as possible, drop me your email addresses. I mean, your basically your Gmail IDs to this number. Right? Okay. So let me join through the laptop and show you how to use it and how it works. Right?
Okay, I hope you all can see. Let me first give access for screen sharing. No, let me just right. I hope you all can see the screen. Right. Okay. Now, if you go to this Gemini notebook, right? Now, for example, I got one person's email address, right? Let me just example. Let me input my other email, right? So this is my other email address, and right, I click send. Now I click send, right? So when I click send, right, you will get your now drop me your email addresses, and I will send you this specific notebook, right? And in this notebook, right, you can ask questions about the chapter. Let's say what is the difference between data and information, right? So when I click enter, it will go through all the content that I have uploaded, right? And it will give me a summary of what I want or what I asked for, right? And they also have this quiz and flashcard sections in which you can click on the flashcards, right? And I want you to go through this, right? Once the lesson is over, I'll give you access to it, and I want you to go through these flashcards. So what is flashcards and how do we use flashcards, right? So first, the flashcard, you have to first see through all of them, right? What are numbers, words, and symbols that do not bear meaning when standing alone called? What is it called? Data, right? So you can now, if you get that correct, you can mark correct. But if you get that wrong, you mark wrong, and you can go to the next one. What is the term of what is the term for meaningful output obtained by arranging and processing data? What is it? Information, right? Then next one, define a system in context of information and technology. What is a system? A combination of components that work together to fulfill a task, right? So this is there in my notes as well. So what are you supposed to do? First go through my notes, and then you're supposed to do the flashcards. Now what I do in class is just an explanation of and the idea of what is happening, right? If you want the exact definitions and exact statements, then you definitely have to go through the notes, right? And you have to, I can't just read you the notes and explain you everything that's there in the notes, right? Because it's a fast track class, right? We don't have enough time to cover everything, right? So I will go fast, and this work is up to you to do. If you want that A, if you want that good results, what are you supposed to do? You are the one who's supposed to put effort, work hard, and get your doubts cleared, right? And you're supposed to go through these notes. This is now smart and hard work together, right? If you just read, that is just hard work, and it's useless, because reading, it will not stay in your head, right? It will just be there for a while and it will go away. But if you do these flashcards, right, what is the primary purpose of an information system? To receive data, process it, store it, and give outputs, right? And if you give explain, if you did not understand, you give explain, it will explain this specific flashcard for you, right? Now see, for example, I had given what is the difference between information and data. It has given the core definition. Data refers to raw numbers, words, images, or symbols that do not carry meaning when standing alone. Data is described often as raw material. Information refers to meaningful output obtained when arranging, organizing, and processing data, right? So then they have given you the full definition and how to do what is it, okay, this student marks, right? and the human figure. They're given the examples and explanations in it, right? So don't worry about if you do not understand, you can always ask me as well, right? But I will go fast and I will just go through the whole syllabus as fast as possible to get to the point where we practice past papers. The first 2 months I told you we'll be covering 2 years of syllabus in 2 months, right? Then you must know how fast I'm going, right? I will most likely finish today's lesson today. So you know, right? Okay, in 2 months I have to cover 15 lessons, means only one per class I'll be doing one lesson, right? So that's a big load, right? So then you must know, okay, in the next you must go through these flashcards. You must do what I say. If you do what I say, I guarantee you can definitely get an A, right? So once you go through all these flashcards, right, you can go through all these flashcards, right? We will go through this theory. We haven't yet gone through these theories as well, right? I'll teach you what these people are, what they did, and all those things, right? Then after you finish all these flashcards, you can attempt the quiz, right? There is about 30 MCQ questions. It's just MCQ questions, right? Basic MCQ questions, like very easy ones, not hard also. See, if you go to the first question, no. Yeah, first question, we haven't yet studied this. Okay. Fill in the blank. Dash are numbers, words, images, and symbols that do not carry meaning when standing alone. What do you think it is? Data, right? So you enter data and it will tell you if it's correct or wrong. Now, if I enter data, that's correct, right? If you enter a wrong option, you can ask it to explain, and it will give you a very detailed explanation on what's happened, right? Okay. Now what's next? What else do we need to know, right? So about this, you have an idea now, right? Now, how do you get access to it? Now, I sent an invite link to my other Google account, right? So let's go to this Google account and let's click on this, right? And you go check your Gmail. In your Gmail, you will have your, see, look at this. Naja Muhammad has shared you a notebook, right? So you click open notebook. Then what happens? You will automatically open the Google Notebook app, sorry, the Google Notebook website, and it will load all the documents that are there, right? And you can create your own ones as well. You don't have to use this itself. You can create your own ones. You can create whatever these, right? So this one, right, is my specific notebook. No? So you can only see and go through it. You can't what do you call it, create your own maps and stuff. Now if you take for example this guy, right, in this I can create my audio overview. I can create a video, meaning of the whole chapter. It will build me a video. It will give me a report, right? I can build more data tables, means like it will create like Excel stuff. It can create me a presentation of my documents, whatever I have uploaded. I have uploaded the notes, right? I have literally put the textbook notes and the notes that I made for myself, right, that I gave you guys. Then you can also build the quizzes. You can build the quiz however you want it. You want easy questions, you want few questions, you want more questions, however you want it, you can build it, right? And so these infographics also will just build you images of what the topic is. Okay, so this is the main idea of notebook LM, right? If you go into this again, right, you can go to your own what do you call it, you can click on this icon. Okay, let's go, and you can create your own notebook, right? You can click new notebook, right? And you can create your own notebook, and you can upload documents into this, right? You can upload files. Example, let's say I upload this file, and then I can ask it questions based on this file, right? I can ask it to create questions based on this file. I can ask it to create quizzes or flashcards, mind maps, whatever it is. I can ask it based on this specific file that I have uploaded over here. You can also add YouTube links. You can add drive links. You can add just text, whatever you want. You can add it into here. Okay, and if you don't want it, you can delete it, right? So this is basically notebook LM, right? Study smart, guys. Even if it's science, even if it's maths, even if it's something that you have to buy heart a lot, use this and you can definitely buy heart easily a lot, right? Now let me show you an example, right? How long do you think it will take to go through these 80 flashcards, right? How long do you think it will take to go through these 80 flashcards? It's just read and recall. You have nothing to write, you have nothing to what do you call that, waste time on. You just have to read definition of information and communication technology, and then you can press the space bar to check. I mean, if you're using a laptop, you can press the space bar. Okay, the use of technology to convert data into information and then exchange it, right? So this is the thing that you have to remember. If you remember it, you click correct. If you did not remember it, you click wrong, and at last you can check how many correct, how many wrong, and you can repeat it again and again, right? Just keep on repeating it until you get everything correct, right? Keep on repeating it until you get everything correct without making mistakes. After that, I mean, at least if you have, now there is totally 80 flashcards, no? If you get above 60 marks, try the quiz, attempt the quiz and see. You definitely can get good marks in this chapter. Any question, any part they ask, if you get 80 flashcards correct, you definitely can get above 20 for the quiz, and you can definitely get good marks for your oral paper, right? Like this, for every chapter I will give you the specific what do you call it, the specific notebook LM version, right? So you can see, and I also will have analytics, so I know who has done what, right? What are the students have done well, what are the students that did not perform much, right? I will have an analytic overview of your studies as well, right? So I also will know, okay, this part is where you're lacking, this part is where your marks are this much, how much you have scored, right? So from the beginning itself, if we start tracking and if we start looking and focusing on this stuff, right, we can definitely get what do you call it? We can definitely get good marks and ace your exams, right? Don't worry about anything, right? We can definitely get good marks for your final paper, right? Okay. Could you drop me in my personal text? Could you drop me a WhatsApp message, please? If you have dropped your email address through Zoom, please drop me through WhatsApp. Right. Everything else seems to be fine, right? Does anybody have any doubts about this notebook LM? Did you guys understand notebook LM? Are you guys clear about it? If you guys have any doubts, ask now. We'll clear it and then we can go to the theory back and we can complete the lesson off, right? We are almost like 30% done, right? We have another 5 more parts. We can definitely do it in another 1.5 hours, right? Anyhow, class will go till 9. It's 7 now, right? We'll have maybe another small break in between because you guys are not used to 3 hours classes, right? Within 1.5 hours, we can definitely cover the lesson, right? So I want you all to tell me if you understood everything about this notebook LM thing, right? Okay. At the end of class, right after class finishes, I will send you all the what do you call that? At the end of the class, I'll send you all the notes, meaning all the notebook LM stuff, right? You can directly check it from your Gmail, right? Check your email account and you will have your access and you can directly what do you call it, access it and start studying from today, right? Start studying from today itself. Don't wait till tomorrow, don't wait till next week, don't wait till next class. No, today's lesson, today itself, just spend like maximum 30 minutes, right? Within 30 minutes you can definitely cover your main important points, right? You can cover your 80 flashcards at least. Cover it, get an idea, and you can start the next part.
Okay, then let's jump back into the lesson. Right? So we stopped at information system, right? Now we're going to start 1.3, information communication technology. Right? That's just a small part. Information communication, right? Information communication of information. The definition is, right, exchanging information among different people or different systems. Basically, what you do is, right? Let's say you have you have your this like what do you call, all your information about yourself, right? Your school, your grade, where you were born, everything, right? And you can share this information with a friend, right? And he will share his information. What will happen between you two? You can create a bond, you can create a connection, right? Now let's say you need something, let's say you didn't do your homework, you can go and ask him, right? You get his information to yourself. And let's say he didn't do a homework or he was absent to school on one day, he will ask you what is the information, like he can get your information and learn from that as well. What is the benefit of communicating information? What is the benefit of sharing information? You can grow together. That's the very big benefit you have. You can grow together, no? If you both stay in the same place, it's going to be pointless. But if you together, if you share information, you can gain one whole person's experience, right? Just by sharing information. That's why they say talk to people who have a lot of experience, lot of wisdom. Why? They have gone through so much of life. They know more than you, right? That's why you have to get what is important into your life and implement it. Right? So the same thing, if you do it over technology, right? Let's say one government wants to talk to another government, right? Or they want to share some information, right? Then what do? Earlier they used to write pigeons, or they used to send in camels, they used to send in horses, right? That's how they used to convey information, right? Back in the day, if you watch old movies, King's movies and all, how do they transport information? How do they send information from one person to another person? How do they tell, okay, these people are coming to war with me, you come and join with me and we will attack them together? How do they say that? They used to send in the horses. They used to send in camels. They used to send in big, small, like what do you call, groups of people, armies. They used to send an army and tell, okay, I need support from you. Over here, I'm giving support to you, right? But nowadays, you don't have to do that. You can take your phone, you can drop a text to what do you call, President Trump. Hello, Trump, I need help. Somebody is going to attack, right? Or you can drop a message to President Putin, right? Hello, Putin. Here, China is going to attack us. Are you coming? We'll get together, attack China. I don't mean to bring up wars or bring political issues into this country, but I'm telling you, you can do that. You don't have to send camels, pigeons, or horses, right? Just it's all just a click away from your hands, right? Even all these people, they like Trump, Putin, all these presidents. You have what do you call it? Even the Chinese president, they're all there on social media, right? They're all there on Twitter, meaning X, right? Okay, so that is about information communication technology, ICT, right? Oh. Now the applications of information communication, right? Simply, I was talking about the examples. So basically, we are going to look into the examples in much depth, right? Okay, the first main example is e-government, right? That's what I was telling. E-government, right? On my marker. Right. Okay. So the first application is e-government. Right. What do you mean by e-government? What are the services the government provides us as citizens through technology? Look at this, right? You know now our government is getting a lot better, right? Okay, government year by year is getting better, no? Right? Last year some things were there. This year we have a lot of more new things, right? We have those metro buses that look very nice, right? And if you notice, right, if you like check the news and stuff like that, okay, if you check the news and stuff like that, nearly 192 billion rupees, nearly 192 billion rupees, huh? Billion with a B, billion rupees surplus. Surplus. What does billion rupees surplus mean? Surplus means you have an extra from the budget in the first 6 months of 2026. You have 192 billion, that's extra. This money hasn't got used, right? So the government is using this to construct new highways, right? Import buses, do trade, and they are obviously even the income has increased. Huh? Income has increased. In dollars, nearly $9 billion our revenue was there. Right? $9 billion, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. 9.6 or something. Okay. So our revenue also has increased compared to the previous years. Right? So okay. You guys have an idea of what is happening now, right? You guys understood? Okay, this is right. So the government, right, they are providing us services, no? G to C, meaning what? Imagine you want to apply for O-levels. If you are a private student, right? How would you apply for O-levels? You would go for that online exam portal, right? Online exam portal. From that online exam portal, you can apply for your exam. Apply for exam. What do you get when you apply for exams to this? Or looking at a service provided by the government to you, right? Or looking at a service that is provided by the government to you through what? Through information communication technology, right? Or information technology, basically, right? So this G to C means when the government is giving you something, right? When the government is giving you some sort of service, right? That is called a G to C service, right? G to C, what do you call service, basically, right? Okay. What else is there? You have G to C. What else you have? G to G. Very good. G to G. This markers, right? G to G. G to G means, let's say, our government, right? Our government, we did not only buy 100 buses, right? Japan gave us 50 buses for free. So total now we have around 150 buses. Or more than that, because we already had some buses. We bought 100 buses. 150 buses, they came, Japan gave for free, right? As a gift. So that is what service. Right? G to G. Did the Japan give to us? Or did the government give to us? No, no. the Japanese government gave to the Sri Lankan government. So that is a G2G service. It is a G2G service, right? Okay. Then next one, you have the government to business service. Example, customs or import taxes. Who does these import taxes or who does this customs thing? Obviously, the government is only maintaining that, no? The importing, right? The business registrations, right? You can do all these using online, right? You can do all this using online. So if you are doing this through online, what will happen? You are going for a G2B service. So basically, if any service that is provided by the government to a business, right? If any service that is provided by the government to a business, that is called G2B services. Okay. Then what do we have next? Next up, we have the G2E, government to employee. Right. Government to employee. Do you all have anyone who worked in the government before? Anyone who is having pension? Right. So for applying for pension or receiving pension notices, right? These are services called G2E, right? So did you guys understand it? Just basic theory, right? You just read the chapter, you just read it, and you will know what it is. That's all. You don't have to think so much. There is nothing much to explain, right? When you come to the logic parts, when you come to the calculation parts, that's where most of you find difficult. And these things are just by hearting. You just by heart and go and write, right? Okay. Then applications in this education, in the field of education. Now, basically, if you are looking at education using information communication technology, now most of our stuff is there in information communication technology, right? If our online class, why is it happening our online class? Why is it online? Or how is it online? Because of information communication technology. Same way, your what do you call that? School presentations, right? You make presentations. All of those things are using online, right? So using information technology, basically, right? If the PDFs that I'm making because of information communication technology, right? And you have a lot of resources in YouTube, right? Basically, if you go to DP Education, right, the YouTube channel called DP Education, they have all the chapters, maths, physics, science, whatever it is, business studies, right? All of it they have. Very boring. I have tried watching it. It's very boring because, like, the people who are there are also old people. They talk very slowly. No fun, no jokes because they can't make any jokes and fun because it's a very strict class, right? Okay. So, I mean, strict class means they're old people. They don't make jokes, right? They don't try to entertain you, right? They just want to convey the message. But I know as students of you all have a very short attention span because of Instagram reels and YouTube shorts. You just need like 10 minutes and then you're fried, your brain is gone, right? I know that. I also have students who I go physical classes and their attention span is so short. I'm surprised how you all are still not asleep in my class. Right? I was once a grade 10 student, grade 11 student, and when we had online classes, I used to sleep in class. Very normal. Right? We had online school. I used to keep the phone like this, and in the bed, I'll be like this. The teacher will call my name. I'll be like, present. But she'll be asking me a question. I won't even know about it. Right? After that, they told, okay, everybody has to on the video. And after that, I was like, okay, we'll try, okay. And I kept the video there in my table. I used to sit there and wait. And then I realized the teacher doesn't look at us. She just, yeah, she knows that everybody's video is on, but she doesn't look at us regularly. She will continue to teach. I used to keep my head and sleep. Right? So this habit, it carried on even during A levels. Even in A levels, when the class is boring for me, what I do, I usually sit in the back bench. Right? I'm a back bench. And I don't sit in the front rows. I don't like to sit in the front rows. Right? I used to sit in the back and I'll sleep. If the class is boring, I'll sleep. I don't like, if it's usually the classes you go to A levels, it's a big group class. Right? I'll have about 100 students, 50 students, more than 50 to 100 students will be there in the class. So yeah, the sir can see you because he'll be on top of a stage. But when he sees you and I will just act like I'm doing something, I'll sleep. Right? That usually happens to me because my attention span it started getting weak. Right? I realized. But after coming to university, I realized, oh shit, I can't focus on things for a longer time. And after that, I started developing. And after one point, you can definitely come to a point where you can focus at will. Right? You want to stay focused for 2 hours, you can stay focused for 2 hours. Right? It will take time to come to that point, but try to build that now. Right? Having that advantage and having that built in a young age is much better. Right? So the first thing you have to do, the hardest for all of your new generation kids, right? It's very difficult to stop scrolling. Stop scrolling. I know at least one point of this class, at least one of you would have started scrolling at some point. Right? This fellow, he is speaking and going. I don't know what he's speaking also. Definitely at some point, one of you would have started scrolling. Right? It's normal. Right? YouTube, Instagram, or whatever it is, TikTok, right? You would have gone and you would have started scrolling. So try to fix that. Make sure you don't scroll for too long. Initially, you can't stop scrolling. It is an addiction. If you want to challenge me, I dare you for the next 1 week. Try your maximum not to scroll. You can't. Right? Nobody can. You will definitely fail. Right? So don't try to stop it at once. Try to stop little by little. First, if your screen time is 2 hours, limit it to maybe 1 hour. Then after that, limit it to half an hour. Then limit it to 15 minutes a day. Reduce, and finally bring it to zero. Right? Okay. So basically, that's for education, right? Okay. Next one we have ICT in health. ICT in health. Okay. So what do you think about ICT in health? You have the one main thing that was introduced because of information technology and information communication technology in health is diagnosis. These MRI scans, CT scans, X-ray scans, all these are possible. Why? Because of these big machines with a lot of computers, right? Small chips. Obviously, it's a connection of physics, mathematics, and IT. Right? You need a lot of physics in it because obviously because of science and physics only you can see the MRI, you can see the CT scan because these are all what sound. There's like a lot of theories, right? Okay, let me explain you one by, right? The CAT machine, right? The CAT literally gives you. Remember, these CAT scans are done. This is what they do when you have cancer. When you have cancer, what do they do? They give you a CAT scan, right? Is it cat or pet? I can't remember exactly, but one of these, right? I'm not sure if it can. Okay. So what they do is it creates 3D images of your body to help you diagnose. Right. Okay. So basically, it will scan your body and it will create 3D image. How the liver is, how the skull is, whatever these body objects, it will give you a 3D image. Right. Then the MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. Right. The MRI thing, what they do is they will release strong magnetic fields. Right? They will release very strong and powerful magnetic fields. Right? So because of these magnetic fields, what happens is, right? You can like what do you call it? You can see through objects. You can see through objects, right? And you can get digital images of your organs. Example, your kidney, your liver, right? Your lungs. That's the main object that you generally see because A lot of people, they have lung cancer, or they have lung issues, they have lung diseases. Air is very polluted, and a lot of people, so because of that, you have a lot of lung problems, right? So if you have lung problems, what do? They do an MRI scan, right? Then the next one, ECG, right? Electrocardiogram, right? Monitors heartbeat by recording the electrical impulse produced when the heart pumps. This is that thing where you can see that machine-like thing. It goes in all of the movies you would have seen, right? You have that tirit, 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 the machine, right? So this machine basically measures your heartbeat and how powerful it's pumping, or how strong it's pumping, or how soft it's pumping. Like if it's too weak, it's not good. Right? If it's too strong, also it's not good. You can blast and die. If it's too weak, it's not enough for your brain to get blood. You can die. Right? It should pump in the correct pace, correct power. Right? So I'm not really an expert in those fields, but this is an idea of what happens. Right? Next one, you have the cardiac screening machine. Right? Right. Okay. So this thing, what it does is it helps you to diagnose the heart. This one measures your heartbeat. Right. That thing helps you to diagnose your heart, what problem your heart has. Right. Does your heart have a chance of getting heart attack? Right. Or does your heart have blood clots inside it? Right. Why is it pumping so hard? At you in this you get, yeah, it is pumping hard. It is pumping softly. But the reason as to why it's pumping hard, what do you get in it? You get in other machine, that is the cardiac screening machine. Right? Next one. Next one is EEG. Right? EEG is it pretty much. Have you seen those movies? If you guys watch Spider-Man, the brand new day, what happens in the last part? Okay, I don't want to spoil you guys, but I'm gonna spoil you guys. So warning: if you guys haven't watched Spider-Man, you can close your ears, right? So in the last part, that during when the girl is there inside the room, right? They keep her inside the room. I forgot her name. Great, Sarah Great. That's a sister. Some girl, right? They keep her inside the room, and they check for her brain waves, right? They check for her brain waves, right? You remember that? That is done using what? The EEG machine, encephalography machine, right? Basically. So it records the brain activities via electrical pulse. Basically, you check the electrical impulses in your brain, right? Works whether the patient is asleep or awake. So you can check if he's in a coma or if he's in a normal state, right? You can check the brain waves. You can basically check the electrical impulses in your brain, right? So this thing, if you watch Spider-Man Brand New Day, towards the last part, you will know, right? They'll take pictures of her brain. Pictures of her brain means not her real brain, right? Not her like cut and red color, not that one, right? The brain in that scene will be inside the picture. It will just be pictures. You'll get pictures of the brain, right? So that's that. Then you have the blood sugar testing machine. If you can just have you seen? They'll prick your finger. They'll take some little amount of blood. They put inside the machine and check your blood sugar. And same way you have the blood pressure checking machine as well. Okay. Then the main other factor is the telemedicine, right? You can call a doctor and you can tell doctor, these are the problems or these are the symptoms I'm having. And the doctor will say, okay, so if these are the symptoms you are having, and you are sure that these are the only symptoms you are having, then he will offer you certain medicines. He will give you certain prescriptions. That is telemedicine, right? You can get medical advices or medical consultation from a doctor using over the phone, right? So that is telemedicine. Right? So there is multiple stuff inside it, like remote surgeries and stuff like that. And you can just go through the theory. Next one, ICT in agricultural stuff, right? Agricultural industry. If you notice, there are like very, very big improvements in agriculture due to IT. What are they? You have drones to water the plants, and you have certain drones to scan to see if they are in the correct nutrition level, right? And you can do what? You can take a crop and you can see, okay, if this crop is healthy. You can take the sand and do tests on the soil to check if the soil is healthy to bear the paddy field, right? If the field has enough nutrition in it to grow the new crops, right? So these things you learn and you get ideas from movies and YouTube videos, right? So watch as many and variety of movies as possible. That's where I get half of my knowledge from, right? Movies. Okay. So yeah, then there are, like, you have seen, right, big tractors that collect farms together, right? So, and then you have watering systems. You have very proper and powerful watering systems. Now there are systems, right? If you have a paddy field like this, right, there'll be tubes. There'll be sensors in the middle. There will be sensors in the middle. It will check if water is enough. It won't put water, right? If water is not enough, if it's dry or if it's getting dry and if it's not enough for the plant, it will sense that and it will say, okay, I need water. Then what will happen? Water will come. Let's say this part there is enough water, this part not enough water. What will happen? Only will come until here, water will stop and will go back. Right? So you have systems like that, very smart systems in which water is given to places and given to things that are only required. Right? So because of that, you have higher, crop yielding, right? More crops will grow, right? More crops will grow, and you will lose less crops to drought or weather. Right? And it's much more easy. Imagine you have to walk around the paddy field to see which part has water, which part has less water, right? And you're pouring. That's not nice. I mean, you don't put water in paddy fields, but I'm talking in normal crops, right? So this works like that. Okay. Then you have farmhouse. Have you noticed there will be farms, right? They will let all their cows outside, right? Imagine there are cows and buffaloes and bulls, right? They will just let them outside. They won't care about where they roam and all those things. Why? Because these cows, they will have a tag on their neck, right? They will have a tag on their neck. And imagine, right, this is the imagine this is the house, right? Can you guys see that part? Yeah, you can see that part. Right? Imagine this is the warehouse, and around it you will set a sensor, and if the cow passes this center, automatically the cow will start getting a small electric shock, right? It will start getting a small electric shock. It will know, okay, I should not pass this, and it will come back. The more far it goes, the more electric it gets, right? So therefore, it will know, okay, it's raining, I'm going to come back. When it comes back inside the correct zone, what will happen? Electric will stop, impulses will stop, right? So that's how you can, control the farm animals, right? And you can set CCTV cameras. You can also set radio frequency identifiers, right? You will have those QR codes, like barcodes, like thing on the cow's neck, right? This is also a technology, but they have not mentioned that technology in your textbook, right? Okay. Then the next one you have in the fishing industry, right? You can use IT basically in the fishing industry to see using drones and stuff, and using sound waves to see which place has more fish, which place has more quality fish. You can go to that place and start fishing, right? So IT has expanded all over the industry, right? You can go anywhere and you can still find IT in it. If you go to business, if you go to healthcare, if you go to whatever it is, your food industry, right? Uber Eats, Pick Me, what are these? All because of IT, software solutions, right? Anywhere you go, anywhere in the world, for any field, can be any field, you will find IT in it. You will find computers in it. You will find systems in it. If you do not find systems in it, you can become rich. Why? You can build a system for them and say, okay, this is the system that I'm proposing you to make your work simpler, and you can become rich. So most of the billionaires and trillionaires and not trillion, there are no trillionaires. I mean, Elon Musk was a trillionaire for a while, but not a trillion anymore. Billionaires and millionaires, right? They became rich by creating a problem to a creating a solution to a problem and creating a smart solution, not just a solution, but a very smart and useful solution to a problem which people are willing to pay money for. Right? If you have a very big system, right, and they do not have IT in it. Example, transportation system. They don't have IT in it. You don't have Uber, Eats, Pick Me. You don't have any of those, right? What will happen? You can go and tell, I have an idea like this, right? Are you interested? People will be interested. Why? More money, right? You can make more money. It's easier for everyone. Now, 15 years ago, not 50, take 10 years ago now. 10 years ago in 2016, how do you used to take tree wheel? 2016, 2015. You used to walk to the main road. If you live in Saddle Lane, you used to walk to the main road, put your hands in front of a tree wheel. They might have meter, might not have meter. You will get in and go. Right? But now how is it? From your home, in your house, you will just put it in your phone. You don't even need to pay cash. You can connect your card. Right? It will come to your doorstep. You come to your house doorstep. You will get in and you will go to the location, get down. You don't even have to tell him where to go. He will take you and go because he knows. Map is there, connected, he'll take you and go. So all these is possible. Why? Because of information communication technology. Right. Okay. Then after that, you have in the business industry, right? You have multiple examples for in the business industry, right? You have e-banking, you have what do you call it? Team management systems, right? Like if you are in the industry, you know like Teams, Microsoft Teams. Most of the companies they use that to communicate, and there is another app like that called ClickUp. Right? So most of the companies, big companies like IT companies, business companies, right, corporate companies, audit firms, all these people, right, they have certain softwares to manage their teams, to manage their people, right? Give me a second. Okay, so basically that's the idea, right? And then banking services, like I told you before, ATM machines, right? Your phone banking apps, all these are possible. Why? Because of information communication technology. If you look at 40 years ago, 30 years ago, you did not have ATMs. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, you did not have banking apps. I guess 15, yeah. 15 years ago, you did not have banking apps. 10 years ago, maybe you might have had banking apps, but very beginning, right? 5 years ago, yes. That's when you started seeing the peak of banking apps, all these stuff, right? Right? Even Uber, Pick Me, all these things came within the last 10 years, no? Right? A very recent thing. You did not have Pick Me in 2015, 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Right? You might have had, but nobody really used it, right? But why did it become famous? Right? All because of COVID, change point of life, right? You did not know Zoom 10 years ago. Zoom was something that you never knew. It was just in textbooks for meeting. But now what? Most of our classes are happening in Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meet. You did not know these apps existed before you had the need to use them. The moment you have a need, these apps became very famous. And now that they are there and they became very famous, you can't stay without them. Right? If you go to the road, or even while you are still in the road, you will still prefer to put a pick me over taking a road trip because you find comfortable putting a pick. The price is fixed, right? If you don't have cash, you can pay in card, right? And the location, you don't have to tell and wait. The fellow will take you and go. Google Maps, it's very convenient for you. Very convenient. So definitely you will go for that, no? Right. So in business, you have multiple, what do you call it, options. Then back to transportation, like I told you, you have, what do you call it, Pick Me, Uber Eats and stuff like that. You have many applications of IT in transportation as well. You can look into another aspect, right? Traffic light controlling systems, airline controlling systems, right? If you look at the, what do you call that, road traffic lights, right? There'll be color lights now. There'll be color lights, right? 3 colors, right? So there'll be red, blue, green. And if you, sorry, red, blue, green, red, green, and yellow, right? If you look at this specific one, wait, some join. Okay, back to the lesson, right? If you look at this, right, you have red, green, and blue, yellow, right? If you look down, there'll be a small box over here like a Wi-Fi signal, right? Like a Wi-Fi signal, right? So if you look at that box, what it actually does is it connects to the main traffic control board, right? It connects to the main traffic control board, and from this traffic control board only, you, what do you call it? You control this traffic light. So if people want, they can hack into this and make red light, green light, and green light, red light, right? So this thing is possible. Why? Because of information communication technology, right? And many other things are also possible because of information communication technology. Flights, they cannot go without information communication technology. How will you know what height you are in? What is the altitude? If there is another plane coming in front of you, this is not like the road, no. The road you can see another car, but when you're up in the sky, there'll be clouds covering you. In the night time, you can't really see much, right? What happens if 2 flights come? There used to be a TV series in a long time ago in, what is that, Science Discovery channel, right? So in that channel, I used to watch this series and I used to be so scared of flights because all they do is show flight crashes. They just show flight crash like this, like that. They just take different stories of flight crashes and they put it on show and they tell because of this is the reason, that is the reason, the pilot fainted, the air communication got cut, right? All these things happen, flights crash, and I was really scared of going in flights, right? Okay, so that's that, right? That's about communication things, right? Then if you look at entertainment, right? You have enough of entertainment because of IT. Listening to music, watching movies, right? Playing video games. All these are possible only because of IT, right? Reading books, stuff like that. Okay. The main disadvantage we already spoke about: scrolling, right? Addictions, right? Cyberbullying, right? Not being able to focus on your stuff. And you have many other disadvantages like hacking, right? If people hack into your phone, what happens? All your information is gone. Your bank app, your WhatsApp chats, the chats you send to your girlfriend, boyfriend, everything is leaked, right? So obviously, all of us have personal chats, private chats, right? It's normal, right? You may have spoken to your friend about your dog. God knows what you spoke. Okay, only God knows what he spoke, but still, those are personal chats, right? People can, if they hack into it, they can see you. They can see what type of person you are, right? Let's say you're talking to many girls or you're talking to many boys. What happens if somebody hacks into your account? Somebody hacks into Instagram. You will say that you're a loyal person. You will say, but what will that person find out about you? They will find that you are multiple people, right? With multiple people. So remember, it's a very, very risk to be in the technology field, but you cannot live without it. Right? You cannot live without technology. You cannot live without the phone. When was the last time you did not have a phone for more than 6 months? You did not even use a phone, huh? To call, to text, or to do anything. Did not have. Leave 6 months. When was the last time you did not even touch a phone for like 1 week? Zero. Right? Obviously, you don't have a phone, okay, but at least your mother's phone, father's phone. You need it. You cannot live without it. Right? But 20 years ago, it was not like that. 40 years ago, it was not like that. Right? Times are changing. You need it. It is riskful, but it has so much advantages at the same time. Right? Yeah, you can get addicted to it, but if you use it properly, you can learn a lot. You can make a lot of money. Right? You can improve in life. Right? If you use it properly. If you become a content creator, yeah, definitely you can make money. Right? If you use YouTube to study from it, definitely you can improve your knowledge. Right? So there are advantages and disadvantages. Right? You have to be very careful on what you choose. Right? Obviously, and it brings a lot of mental stress and mental disorders. Okay. Right. Next one, evolution of computers. Right? Evolution of computers. After that, we are coming to an end for the chapter. Right? Remember, there were 5 generations of computers. Basically 4, but we say 5, right? Okay. Okay. There were some pioneering people who invented many things of the computer now that we use nowadays. Right? Without these people, we could have not used the computer, or there would have been some other people who would have invented. Right? Either way, it would have come to this point in time, and you cannot change it. Okay. Key milestones before automation. Right? The Baselin Pascal. Right? He was a man who invented the addition machine. Right? Earlier, how did they add? They used something called an abacus. They had some tool called an abacus. But now you have calculators and stuff. The Baselin Pascal person, he was the person who made the machine called Pascaline. Right? Because of this Pascaline, right? He made an addition machine. Right? You can enter numbers and it will give you an output. And it will give you an output. Okay. And then there was this other guy, right? He improved the Pascaline's machine to give multiplication and division, right? And then there was Joseph, weird names, okay? Invented the mechanical looming machine using the punch card system. You know the punch card system, right? That thing where you can punch the card and go inside, right? It scans your, what do you call it? It scans the card if it's correct or wrong. The punch card system, right? You can swipe it like this. That thing, he was the one who made, right? Then Charles Babbage came. Charles Babbage is the father of modern computers, right? Is he not? He is, right? Okay. So he basically what he made was he did not make a computer. He did not make the monitor. He did not make the computer. He did not do any of that. What he did was he introduced the input, process, output. He basically introduced the input, process, output. Right? He was the guy who made this stuff. Okay. The Charles Babbage was the person who made this, right? Because of this system only, you call him the father of computers. Then Ada Augusta Lovelace, right? So this Ada Augusta Lovelace, she was the first one who made computer programming languages. If you have seen that joke, right? If you want to know why programming languages are hard, because a girl invented it. I'm not being what do you call that? Racist or anything here, but that's the joke. Okay, it's just a joke. Don't take anything personal, right? Be honest, a joke. Because a girl invented programming languages became hard, but it's not hard. Remember, programming languages are easy. You just have to understand the logic. We will come into a programming language called Scratch, pseudocode, right? It will not be that hard. Don't worry about it. And then you have Howard Aiken, right? He made the Mark 1. He was the one who actually made the first generation computers, right? Was it first gen? Yeah. Okay. So now let's get into computers. The first generation of computers, right? Remember, the first generation of computers was made using vacuum tubes. Was made using what? Using vacuum tubes. Okay. So vacuum tubes are basically like small bulb-like shaped things, right? In which you can store binary, right? You can store binary, and using binary means 0, 1, 1, 0. And you can store this inside it, and you can meaning if there is air or some technology was there, if you have some amount of this one, it gives you a 1, and if you did not have, it's a 0, right? That's how it worked, right? It was a very weird machine. And the computers, guess the size, it was as big as a room, right? The computers was as big as a room. But nowadays computers are really small. You can carry it in your phone. You can just literally keep it on your wrist, or you can put it on your face. Whatever it is, you can do, right? Now, the first generation computers, right? They were very, very big, right? They generated so much of heat, and they were very slow, right? You did not have portability, meaning if it's the size of a room, how can you carry it around? You can't carry it around. And also, it consumes so much electricity, right? It consumes so much electricity. Remember, as the generations increase, right? First generation, second generation, third generation, fourth, fifth. As the generations increase, what happened? Computers became more and more efficient. Efficient means what? They became more powerful while consuming less current or less electricity. So remember, first generation, it consumed so much electricity, gave a very little output. Second generation, less electricity, more output. Third generation, much less electricity, much more output. Fourth and fifth, the most amount of output with least amount of electricity consumption, right? So if you remember that in your head, it's okay, right? Then in the second generation, when you did not you used punch cards for input, output, and processing, right, and storage. Right? Then in the second generation, right, that's when you used transistors. Now transistors made this thing drastically small, right? You went from a size of the room, right, size of a hall to basically maybe the size of this board, right? It reduced a lot. It reduced a hell a lot because of what? Transistors. Then after that, so that is the second generation, right? So obviously you know what are the functionalities of second generation. More, it gave more output. It was more powerful than the first generation while consuming less electricity than the first generation, and it produced less heat than the first generation. comparative. Okay, it produced less heat, but it was more powerful and less current consumption, right? Okay. So okay. That's that, right? And you were able to use programming language. The first generation, you were using what? Ones and zeros, right? From the second generation, you went on to programming languages. Like you were able to type letters and numbers. Earlier, you can only type one zeros. Now you can type letters and numbers. Then you went on to the third generation. Now, third generation is where you have a much bigger change compared to second generation, right? First to second, there was a very big change, right? Second to third, also there is a change, right? You went from transistors to integrated circuits. That is the chip, right? Earlier, what we used vacuum tubes. Then after what did we use? We used transistors. Transistors are something like this, right? They are basically diodes, right? They're like this, but they're small, right? They're quite small. You can build them at home also, right? And you can store ones and zeros. You can play around with them, right? Okay. Then after you went into integrated circuits. Integrated circuits mean in one small chip like this, right? You can store so much processes. Like you can tell, do this, do that, do this, do that inside this small chip. But earlier you need something like this and maybe 100 of this to get something done. Right? After that, you got integrated circuits which made the size much more smaller. So remember, as the generation increased, the size also became smaller and smaller and smaller. Right? Then after that, in the fourth generation computers, that's when you looked at if you look at very old movies, the computers that are there in old movies are from the fourth generation computers. Then that also did not have a user interface. Remember, that did not have a user interface from the fifth generation only. Oh no, fourth generation also has user interface, but there's the old one, right? From the fifth generation is where you got the proper like what we use nowadays. Fifth generation is what we use nowadays. Okay. Then you have the summary of the chapter, right? So I want you all to do the short questions in about 10 minutes and we'll discuss at least 5 of them before we go. Yeah, do the first 5 short questions.